chapter 15. In verse 1. Then drew near to him all the publicans and sinners for to hear him. And the Pharisees and scribes murmured, saying, This man receives sinners and eats with them. Ooh, how horrible. And so then Jesus started in on 3 stories that helped them understand why he did what he did. But this was kind of a common thing. Jesus is accused of being the friend of sinners. That's really a good thing. Jesus saw in sinners, which all of us are, a potential. And he loved us in spite of who we were. In 1921, Lewis Laws became warden of Sing Sing Penitentiary. It was a tough place. It was a tough job. He was just a young man at the time, and he had a young wife and 3 little boys. Her name was Catherine. And everybody told Catherine, stay out of the prison. Don't you ever go down for any reason at all. It's a tough place. You just don't want to mix with them. Stay away. But, you know, he hadn't been warden very long, and she was seen at the sidelines watching a basketball game between the inmates. And that was amazing. They'd never seen, I guess, a real person come and visit them like that. And she found out that there was one guy who was a murderer. And had been there for life, but he was blind. And so she talked to him and found out he had never heard of Braille system of reading, so she had somebody come in and taught him how to do Braille, and he could read the Bible now with Braille. She said to those who said don't go, she said, I think we can do something with them. I think if I take care of them, they'll take care of me, okay? She wasn't worried, even though she had her 3 little boys that she brought in. Another one was deaf, and she helped that deaf person out. And so many different things happened. And so from 1921 to 1937, she was a great inspiration at the prison. But one day there was a car accident, and Catherine was killed. And the next day, the warden wasn't there, of course, there was an assistant warden. They looked out, they saw all the men standing by the gate like a mob. And he couldn't figure it out. He was really scared, and he went down and he saw most of them were crying. And they said, we just want to go and see. You see, Catherine was only 3/4 of a mile from where they were laying in their casket. So he did an unheard of thing. He said, I'll open the gates. All of you that want to go can go. But be sure to come back and check in. And so they walked out in mass from Sing Sing Penitentiary, and every single one in that. You know, she was an inspiration to the toughest of tough, maybe. To those who were hopeless, those who were lifers, who would never ever see the light of day again, there was at least one little light in that prison for Jesus, and made a difference. Don't touch those sinners. Have nothing to do with them, she was told. But Christians feel differently, and our Lord felt so differently. He said, I want to tell you about these sinners. And he told a story, and we'll kind of anticipate what he did, but he said, now, if you had some sheep, you had 100 sheep, let's say, and one was lost, what would you do? Well, I'd go look for it. When everybody would say that, I'd go look for my sheep. And so he said, and that's what the shepherd did. He locked these others up when they were all safe. He was glad for that. He loved them. He just really appreciated the 99 that came in. But he went all over everywhere, up and down the vale and down the hills in dark of night, and he found that little sheep. It was a lost sheep. He just said, I'll forget it. If they don't have enough sense to come home, then just let it die. Let the wolves have it. Just let it break a leg. I don't care, but he cared. And so he went and found the sheep, and he laid it on his shoulder. And he carried her all the way home. And he put that sheep in there with the others. And I hope that the 99 were glad to see that sheep back. And he was glad to be home. And then he said, we're going to have a celebration tonight. I found out which was lost. And I'm so glad. Well, a farmer would understand that. You'd understand that if a woman had some money and she lost some of the money, that she would look for it. And you'd be happy about finding that. In fact, right at that moment, you're happier about finding the dollar you lost than the 10 you got in your pocket. Because it was lost, but I found it again. You're happy about that. And if you had a boy, And the boy said, I'm just sick of this farm and I'm never coming back. You give me enough to live on, and whatever I will get when you die, Dad, give it to me now. And the dad did. And he went to a far country, never sent him a letter or a card or nothing, and acted like he didn't care if the dad lived or died. And yet the dad was always looking down the road, I hope my boy comes home, and eventually you could see him coming a long ways off. He already had a boy at home. He loved that boy at home. He was glad for that boy at home. But this boy was lost. Wouldn't you be glad if your lost son came home? Wouldn't you be glad if he finally changed his mind and wanted to do right? Wouldn't you be happy? And he was, and he ran and grabbed that son and just hugged him and said he's so glad he was home and had a party and celebration. Does that make sense? And we'll say, yeah, if I had a sheep, I'd go find it. Yeah, if I lost somebody, I'd look for it. Yeah, but if I had a lost son, I'd be glad to be straightened up. Yeah, I'm with it. Well, Jesus, don't you understand? These people are sheep of God. They're part of God's kingdom. These are His children that have got lost. Don't you think we ought to see and be happy when they come home and are back with the Father? Shouldn't we be happy? That's why I have so many friends who are publicans and sinners. This message then tells you two things, if nothing else. One is that no matter how lost you can be, God wants you back. No matter how sinful we may be, we can be forgiven. For He loved the sinners and publicans. And at the same time, it should tell us that if we are already part of the 99, or we are the elder brother, or we happen to be one of the 9 coins that didn't get lost, we should be happy when others are returning. Rather than thinking, hey, this is my church, and I don't want these sinners defiling it. We ought not have people look like that, and act like that, and smell like that, coming to our church. First of all, in your church. It's Christ's church. And if Christ is in charge of the church, He likes to have come everybody, but He is very much welcoming the sinners, the publicans, we see in the gospel. Why would they come? Because they could see He loved them. Why did they like Catherine Laws? Because they knew that she loved them and was concerned about them, and for the blind prisoner or whatever that happened to be, how wicked he could be. She was trying to get a light into his life, and that's why they loved her so much. That's some reason why people don't love some Christians very much, because they don't show very much love to them. Christians holding banners, we hate you. We hope you all go to hell. No, we don't. We want to come to Jesus. We have to be able to sit and understand that. So there's an attitude here. An attitude for the sinner that says, I'm wanted. Attitude for the Christian that says, yep, Jesus wants you, and so do we. But the elder brother wasn't so happy as you remember this account. Let's take some look at the Bible of what happened when Jesus reached out to sinners and how people reacted and how Jesus handled that. In the book of Matthew chapter 9, we have one of the examples that we have here in Luke, the 15th chapter, but it went over and over and over again. Matthew 9 and verse 9. And as Jesus passed from thence, he saw a man named Matthew, sitting at the receipt of custom. He said unto him, Follow me. And he rose and followed him. Matthew, the Matthew of the gospel that wrote this book. One of the apostles, nonetheless. Great man, right? Great Christian. Great man. Great wonderful person. And now here, the publican. You couldn't go much lower. You were selling your souls to Romans while the Jews were concerned. You couldn't be much worse. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat at meat in the house, Matthew's house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and the disciples. Why is that, his friends? Well, because good people didn't like him. We would want to have anything to do with that fellow. He's a sinner. Isn't it sometimes strange that those that are Christians aren't trying to be the light to where the dark is? They're not trying to be the salt where there's no taste? Who are we? Well, we are trying to be pure, and we're not part of the world, that's true. But that doesn't mean that we don't try to reach out and help people that are lost in the world and be a friend in that sense to them. Jesus was a friend of sinners, and he didn't seem to find that title. Don't call me that. I don't want to be known as that. He was known as that. And he was kind of glad he was. So here's Matthew inviting the people that he knew. Everybody has some kind of friends, if they're bad friends. So he invited them in. I want you to understand Jesus. Well, the Pharisees saw it. They said to the disciples, Why eateth your master publicans and sinners? What's he doing that? Well, Jesus heard it. He said, they that are whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. Well, that's a pretty good answer, isn't it? Why are all these sick people in the doctor's office? Well, exactly because they're sick, that's why. Why are all these people in the hospital? Well, because they're sick. And that's why the doctors, nurses are here. That makes sense to us. Well, why would people who have all kinds of problems spiritually and morally, why would they be coming here crying? Well, because they need a doctor. Oh, you do too, by the way, don't you? There's something in your life and in my life that the doctor, the great physician, needs to work on too. We don't often see that. I think maybe the Pharisees had a few problems, don't you think? We read about them in Scripture, how they were so holy, but really not. They were covering up their hypocrites, and they were very greedy and a lot of other things. They didn't seem to think the doctor ought to operate on that. Jesus said, here's why. This is not a museum. This is a hospital. And things go on in the hospital. People in the hospital that are very sick. And they need the doctor. And Jesus explained that to them. Now, when you think about that, there's another thing you need to think about. That is that Jesus doesn't leave people where they are. You say, well, you folks are all really nice people, you know, and just stay where you are and just smile more, and you're all right. We hear that sometimes in the gospel, so-called gospel message. Just think positive. Just think, better thoughts. Just be glad who you are, or develop the God that's in you, or whatever. I want to tell you something. When a doctor gets hold of you, you sometimes wish he had it. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said, I have an awful state. They took me up to this hospital or whatever, and he said they wanted to test if I had Alzheimer's or not. And I don't know that you have a test for that, but they're going to test it. He said, and they gave me all these tests, and the guy examined my brain and made me all different kinds of things. And he said, a guy then he told me I was below average. Just look I'm below average. Isn't that awful? Couldn't do that. My glasses weren't working anyway. I don't know what the whole deal is. But he was not happy seeing the doctor. Doctor may say, we're going to have surgery. Give you a shot. Just open your mouth. Hit you on the knee. Whoa. All kinds of things happen. That may be a little bit painful, but what you're trying to do, make you better. Lose some weight, fatty, you'll take it. Something like that. Get rid of that. You don't need that. It's hard on your joints and your heart and whatever else. And just kind of a sidebar. If you hear it and you listen to it, it's a good thing. We went to the youth rally. Some of you know Jack Langford. You might be joining this. He had a mild heart attack, and that was the warning. And Jack, like a lot of us, had way too much weight. So the doctor told him he was going to be eating. So we had the youth rally. And they had tacos, all kinds of wonderful cookies and stuff. Jack had his lunch. He said, dead chicken. Yeah, there was a little breast of chicken here. He said, what do you want to share with me? Raw carrots, raw broccoli, raw this, raw that. Jack is the one that never knew a bad Dairy Queen his whole life. But you know what? When the doctor says, hey, and you want to do better, you change. Because you know it's the right thing. You see, when Jesus is the great physician, and he got these sinners, did he say just keep on sinning? No. Did he say you're just doing fine? No. He said, repent. But they knew when he said repent, he said it for their own good. You see, there's ways of saying it. You're a smart church person. You're just putting me down because you're right and I'm wrong. And that's what they take. But if you have the right attitude, like Jesus, they'll understand. He is a doctor. He's not saying, I do this because I want to be, on your case. I want you to do well. What did Matthew do? Matthew left the publican work. Matthew began to preach of the gospel. Matthew went out to those same sinners, explaining how they're supposed to live. But you'll never be able to help a sinner if you're not their friend in that sense. Not very often will you. Once in a while there'll be some sinner who'll say, I'm so sick of sin, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do, I don't care what. And it gets that bad, but most people aren't that way. Most people have to be brought by a friend or somebody that says, I'm really concerned about you, and you show and they say, I remember I need to do something different, and they brought to Christ to do it. He was a friend of sinners. What if he hadn't been? We wouldn't have Matthew, would we? We wouldn't have any apostles, would we? I kind of think we wouldn't have a church either if Jesus didn't like sinners, because you wouldn't be in it either, nor would I. Because we are sinners. Every last one of us. There's none righteous. No, not. But here's another question. In the book of Luke, chapter 19, kids sing about this one. Well, you'll be familiar with this one, I'm sure. Luke 19, and verse 1. And Jesus entered and passed through Jericho, and behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. There's that publican thing again. Government worker who was rich. That doesn't, maybe I don't know. And he sought to see Jesus who he was, and could not for the press. So many people want to see Jesus that they were just pressing. Now, why? I don't know. I suppose some people, they liked him on, get close. Some people, it's a curiosity. If you raise people from the dead, and you heal people who couldn't hear, couldn't talk, and they got around, would you go see them if they came down by your town? Probably. Famous. They just attract people. Many years ago now, Brother Barber, many people, Brother Barber held a meeting in Billings when I was still high school. And so I would then, somewhere. And a fellow was flying into the Billings airport on his way to somewhere else. It was in the news that Senator John Kennedy from Massachusetts was going to be in Billings for a few hours. He wasn't president yet. I don't know if he was going to be president yet. But John Kennedy was kind of famous even then. And so, this is Barbara. His passion, we got to go see this one. We got to go see. Brother Barbara didn't care anything about going to see John Kennedy. It could have been John Love, as far as he was concerned. But Opal just wanted Jacqueline. She was in it big time. I don't know why, but she just knew. And nobody went. None of us went. But she wanted to go. But they had a good crowd anyway. But John Kennedy never healed anybody, walked on the lawn and raised the dead. But Jesus did, and you can kind of see that, yeah, let's go. Have a television stay home and watch, No radio to turn in, no iPad or anything like that to mess with. So you just go and see people what they did back in that day. And so they were coming to see Jesus, but Zacchaeus was little, and he couldn't see it. So he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him, and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at your house. And Zacchaeus said, oh, goody. Did you say, oh, goody? Wonderful. You're coming to my house? I went to bed this morning. Everything looked, he came in, but he seen something I don't want Jesus to see. Zacchaeus didn't seem to care. It mattered to him, and he came right down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, the crowd, the Pharisees, the nice people, when they saw it, they murmured. All of them murmured and said, he is gone to be a guest with a man that is a sinner. To hearken back to Jesus' illustration before, if you saw a doctor go to a very, very sick person, what would you conclude? Something wrong with that doctor. A few of you may remember that doctors used to make home calls. I remember I was probably about 4 years old, something like that, and Dr. Walkowski came to our house and examined the seat. I think it was a month or something like that, something like that. But I can remember so good with the doctor walking into my bedroom, and I'm just a little bitty kid, because doctors did that in those days. Came to your house and came right into your room and doctored you there. Now you might see it on TV or something, because it doesn't happen. The doctors don't make calls. You come to the office or get an ambulance or something else to bring you in, but we don't just go around from house to house. And I guess it's more economically time-wise to have all come one place and travel an hour here and there and everything else. But Dr. Walkowski came in, I went through all that happened, but I just remember got a big black suit coming in looking down at me and whatever I was supposed to do. Jesus is like that. Why am I going to Zacchaeus stuff? I'm a doctor. He needs me. Well, why am I going to that person's house? Well, because they're a sinner. Why are you visiting that person? Well, because they need me. And other people, everybody needs me, as far as the gospel is concerned. But if you're thinking, well, this guy is a lost, hey, no, he's not. No, he's not. Zacchaeus, blow him up. No, don't do that. And Jesus said, for the Son of Man is come to seek and save that which was lost, just what he told us in Luke 15. Well, you know what happened eventually. That Zacchaeus was a great person. He told them that he's going to restore fourfold and give to the poor half of what he had, which is there in verse 8. Do you think it was worthwhile? Do you think that the person who was very poor and got a help that day from Zacchaeus was pretty happy that he got straightened out? Do you think another poor widow lady who had no Social Security and had 6 kids, her husband died in a carriage accident or something, she was glad when Zacchaeus came with this money so she could buy food for her? Think she was happy about that? Was she glad he got converted? Was she glad somebody loved a sinner? I think so. And those that said, I got overcharged and they had a refund check, think they're happy? If you got a government check tomorrow and said, sorry, we overcharged your income tax last year too much, here's $2,000 back, or whatever. And that's okay. That's pretty nice. Goody. Glad to get it. Are you glad then that somebody got converted so that they're treating people right and refunded their money they overcharged? One thing to be glad about that. How many people are glad when sinners are saved? Hundreds of people in time will be glad over each one that does something for Christ, because when a sinner gets saved, he changes his life, and that's what Zacchaeus did. No longer going to be the Zacchaeus that he used to be. And maybe one more. That's in the book of Luke chapter 7. And we talked about this a while back. Let's again look at it from the standpoint of what we're talking about here today. Luke 7, verse 36. Where Jesus is at a house of a Pharisee, eating at his house. And he'd eat better at Pharisee's house by that moment. And he sat down, a woman of the city, verse 37, which was a sinner. Now, the Bible never minces the fact that these are sinner people. They are wicked. What did they do? I don't know. But they did something, you just imagine all that they might have been into. What do sinners do? Well, she did it all, probably. He said, how many 10 Commandments you broken? She might have said all of them. Or like Brother Word used to say, when I was a sinner, I broke every one of the 10 Commandments but one. I'm going to tell you which one it was. Well, I don't know. That's a sinner either way, isn't it? She was a sinner. But she knew that Jesus was at meat in the Pharisee's house. Now she wasn't about to say, oh, I'm going to go to the Pharisees, see if they can help my life. The Pharisees are holy, they're going to help me to follow a better lifestyle. They wouldn't help at all. They weren't attractive to her at all. I hope we don't turn people off. Well, you know, they're just so stuff, they just think they're everything, and they may be good. No, that's not the point. The point is, we are trying to help people, and we love their souls, and it should sort of radiate the best we can to them. She brought an alabaster box of ointment, stood at his feet, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. And 39, the Pharisee said, well, if he was a prophet, he would know that this woman is a sinner. I certainly wouldn't allow him to be touched. I've got something to tell you. Then we talked about this a while back. Remember, 2 debtors. And one didn't really appreciate being forgiven at all. He said, you know, verse 47, I tell you this her sins, which are many, are forgiven. She loved much. Too little is forgiven, the same love is little. He said to her, your sins are forgiven. And hopefully when she left, she wasn't the same person that she was before. And when you read the gospel account, you come up with this conclusion, that is, when somebody met Jesus, they were never the same, either better or worse. If they met Jesus and rejected him, they went away sorrowful, or planned to do something against him, or were angry. If they followed him, they were better people, and more productive, and happier, and all those kind of things. But with that, when you come across Jesus, there's just a watershed. And we can be better, or it will be worse than one of the others. You know, Jesus makes us different. I got a call 3 weeks ago maybe now, from a person I had taught before, and we were going to finish the course he was on, and so I talked to this person, and so I did, and he said, my name is David. And he said, Jim tells me that you teach people. Well, I'd be glad to do that. So we got to talking and we set up a date, and I've had 2 Bible studies with him and so forth. He's in I guess you call it a halfway house. It sort of looks like a prison actually in Tumblin, just off the edge of Tumblin. And he said, you know, I would like to do something with my life, like I'd like to be a counselor or something like that. He said, I have been in so many things. When I lived here in Tumblin, I was a contractor, and I made $1 million. And he said, I spent every bit of that on drugs and women. Every bit was gone. But then he did other things to get drugs, and then he was under arrest, and then he ran. And he said, I was on the run for a whole year, and I just figured that's no way to live, and I came and turned myself in, and now that's where I am. And, you know, he's exactly what we're talking about here. He said, I could be a counselor. I have been there. I know all the different things that people do that are wrong. I've done all of that. And I want to help you. Well, I hope he can. So he gleaned for quite a little bit. I told because of where he is, they permitted him to go out and work and come back. Kind of a trustee at this point. But he said, my family is pretty rough. He said, you might remember that my uncle was shot by the police a few years ago because of the family ruckus that we caused. He said, yeah, I remember that name very well. But you know, that's exactly what Jesus is looking for. Those that are so holy and righteous, they don't need the message. You don't need the gospel. Jesus is nice for church and women and kids, but not me. But somebody who recognizes I am a sinner, and I can't live in with my own life except he does something with it. Now there's ones that Jesus says, that's what I'm doctrine. You may go to the doctor and he says, do this, do that, you don't do a thing about it. How good is it to go? You go to a doctor and says, do this and this, and you take the medicine or whatever, and you get well. You say, I did the right thing. I listened to the doctor. And it's our decisions. Listen to Dr. Jesus, change our life, and just say, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's what it is. You see, the point is, we'll never change our life on our own. We just say, Lord, here I am. And you help me. It is wonderful. And that's what 342 is basically saying. Old song that has been sung for years and years. Just as I am, without one plea. I am a needy soul before the Lord. I need Him. I'm just going to do myself. That's all there is to it. And that's the plea that He makes of us. 342. Just as I am, Lord, where I am, take me. I recognize my need as a Savior. Let's sing that first stanza, 342.